And we are, whoa, the glare on that. Hold on just 1 second. There we go. Okay. And we are back with the fourth segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. I apologize for that glare. It's really annoying. I'm going to try to move my desk to a different spot in the room for next time. So you guys might see a different background and you guys won't have to worry about looking at that. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to continue on with my rankings of each of these teams based off of their young talent. And we left off, I believe we left off at number 15, which was the Atlanta Hawks. And so, now we're going on to some of the worst teams that have, based off of their young core. But actually, you know what? No, not the worst teams, more like the mid-tier teams, because right now we're going to be doing 16, 17, 18, so on and so forth, however much farther we can go along with the list. But let's continue on. So let's start with number 16. So Utah is a team that's probably around that mid-tier. I have no idea exactly where I don't know if these guys are good. I don't know if these guys are bad. I don't know if these guys are going to be good. I don't know if these guys are going to be bad. I don't know if there's so many questions around this this young team. And I have no idea which direction Utah is going to want to go in when we're looking at all of these young players. But just based off of, their abilities, as individuals, I think 16 is probably, maybe a decent spot for them. This is a list inspired by an Instagram user, NBA District. So I think that 16 is actually a pretty solid spot. But I mean, it gets a boost in its rankings simply because there's so many young players on the Utah Jazz. So I mean, they have Keontae George, they have Walker Kessler, they have Cody Williams, Colin Sexton, Taylor Hendricks, Johnny Juzang, Bruce Sanzaba. Forgive me if I completely messed up that last name. They have a lot of young and talented athletes on the team, for sure. However, whichever one they stick with is rather unclear, and whichever one they're going to pick, to build their roster with, is still rather unclear. Because I mean, they just recently signed Lauri Markkanen, and maybe these young guys are just going to try and fit in and be role players. But they're so young that they could evolve into something much greater than just role players. You don't have to just settle them for mediocrity. So I have no idea what kind of direction they're going to try and go with this young core, but I'm very excited to see what they do. And next team on the list of the young core is the Cavs. They don't really have they don't have a really, really young team players that are age 25 or below, because that's what's considered young in this in today's NBA. 26, 27 is where you usually enter your prime, and 25, anything before 25 is usually when you're still learning the ropes and you're still young in the league. And for the Cavs, the players that they have that are relatively young are Garland, he's 24 years old, Jalen Tyson, Craig Porter, and Evan Mobley. Now, the Cavs are one of the teams that barely did anything in the offseason aside from extending Donovan Mitchell, so yay for that. But with their young core, excuse me, with the roster that they have and the young lineup that they have, I think being in the mid-tier is okay, because Evan Mobley he could develop into your number one option. And I think just the fact that they have Evan Mobley there and he's rather young, I think that's good enough for this team to give them their ranking at 17. That's just me, though. And next team on this list is New Orleans. Now, I mean, this one was a little bit tricky because I wanted to put them a little bit higher, because I do think that these young players are incredibly talented. However, because of the fact that they constantly keep getting injured and they're injury prone, primarily Zion Williamson, I can't really agree with this being higher than in the mid tier. So it's Anything higher than like 16 or 15, I can't really agree with, because some of the young players, like for example, Zion Williamson, he's age 24, but he spent most of his career sitting out due to injuries. And well, he spent a lot of his career, I shouldn't say most because I'm not entirely sure if it's most, but he spent a lot of his career just worrying about injuries and things like that. So Trey Murphy, Jordan Hawkins, Yves Missy, and Antonio Reeves, and Carlo Matkovic. Again, those are all of the young players on the team. So they do have the only real big name there is Zion Williamson, and they do have a solid, backups for replacements to see, maybe they'll develop into the future and things like that. But again, there aren't really that many huge, big names that you think of when you're thinking of the Pelicans. And because Zion constantly gets injured, I have to keep them in, the mid-tier of that. So, next team on this list is the Philadelphia 76ers. And the 76ers, they don't really have, they're a very balanced team, I will say. Like this right now, this is one of their most balanced stages in the, I guess you could say, they're in their era, their trust the process era, where it's like they aren't entirely, yes, they do have young players, but now they have Paul George and this veteran player. And speaking of the young talent that they have, Tyrese Maxey, Jared McCain, Ricky Council, Adam Bonnet, and KJ Martin. They do have all of those players on the roster, and Maxey is a huge reason why this team is ranked the way that they in the spot that they're ranked. However, the rest of the players, they aren't really impressive. They aren't wow players that you would want to have on your roster. They're just there, and obviously, we have no idea whether or not they could develop into more, but as of right now, Maxey being probably either the second or the third option. I don't know where you would put him as. Is Maxey a second option, or is Maxey a third option? What option is he? Because I am 90% sure that Joel Embiid is going to be the first option. And I don't know if some people actually consider Maxey the first option, considering how Joel Embiid doesn't show up in the postseason. But aside from that, seriously, is he a second option or is he a third option? Let me know in the comments what you guys think. And for the last part of this list, we're going to end it with, okay, wait a minute, what the heck was that? Okay, there we go. We're going to end it with Ben Simmons. I have no idea what just happened. Something just happened on my computer. We're going to end it with the Brooklyn Nets and Ben Simmons. This man right here, he needs to be off the team right now. I am going to preach it to the mountaintops till the end of time, get him off the team. But aside from him, the Nets, they recently traded Mikal Bridges. So aside from the young players that they already have on the roster, and there's a lot of them, they're going to have younger players coming in because of draft capital. And maybe if the team if they draft properly, maybe the young core of players is going to be a very, very serious team. So let's go over the young talent. So Cam Thomas, the best player, is 23 years old. Nick Claxton, 25 years old. Noah Clowney, 20. Darek Whitehead, 20. De'Aaron Sharp, 22. Jalen Wilson, 23. Keon Johnson, 22. Trendon Watford, 23. Zaire Williams, 23, and Killian Hayes, 23. There are so many young players on this roster, and, it's crazy how now Ben Simmons isn't a part of that, yet all of these players that I just mentioned earlier are better than him 9 times out of 10. Actually, no, 10 times out of 10. And it's really it's honestly sad how the downfall of Ben Simmons has come. But aside from Ben Simmons, I keep rambling about him because I just can't stand him. I don't want him on my team. But the rest of the players, like Cam Thomas and Nick Claxton, yes, give me more of that. We like those guys. And the rest of the squad is still sort of meh. And Cam Thomas, even so, it's he doesn't really seem to mesh well with Nick Claxton. Claxton doesn't seem to like how Cam Thomas doesn't pass. There was a clip where Claxton was open directly under the basket, but Cam Thompson decided to shoot it. And then Claxton got upset at him for shooting the ball. I don't understand why Claxton got upset because Cam Thomas ended up making the three-pointer, which is stupid. I mean, let me know in the comments what you guys think. If you had a wide open layup, your teammate decided to shoot a 3 and he made the 3, would you be mad at your teammate for making the 3? Or would you like be happy for your teammate for making the 3? Because like that really confuses me. Yes, I understand the pass is there. But if you take the 3 and you hit the 3, like you can't be mad at that. You genuinely cannot be upset because he gave you 3 more points. He gave you 1 extra point than what you were going to give had you had taken the layup. I think it's more selfish than anything else to be mad at somebody for taking a wide open 3 and making the wide open 3. Now, it's if you miss the 3, then it's a different story. Then you can complain. But if you make the 3, you can't complain. If you make the 3, there's no room for complaint there because you scored. The goal of the game is to score. But so there might be a little bit of chemistry issues with this young team, and there might be like not really, I wouldn't say bad blood, but there might be things that being said and things going around that not everybody might agree on, if that makes sense. So, and the way I see it, this young core, the Nets young core is just, they're literally mid-tier. They're not the best, but they're not the worst either. So that's all I have for this 4th segment. So again, let me know in the comments what you guys think and whether or not you guys agree with it, whether you guys disagree with it, whether you guys would have rather seen another team in this area, this, that, and the other. Let me know in the comments. But aside from that, we are going to go ahead and go into the final segment, which is going to be continuing on with this list, going on to the other teams that have a decent young core. So we stopped at the Nets, which was at number 20. So now we're going to do 21, 22, 23, and we're going to read on the list and continue going on right after this short break. Be sure to stay tuned if you're interested to figure out what teams are on there.